This is one of those I have made a choice videos. I have chosen to replace my 15-year-old rods and reels with a complete new lineup of rods and some new reels to go along with it. The technology has changed a lot in both rods and reels since I last made some purchases, so this is a perfect time for me to find a line of rods from a manufacturer I want and try them out. Now, I've decided to just go ahead and one brand, one line of rods, as opposed to another, seemingly perfectly sensible choice of multiple rod companies from different rods to suit the exact need of the type of fishing I want to do. I think that's a valuable, great way to go, but I've decided to get into one line of rods so that I could understand the actions and the rod manufacturers' concepts and what they like, and see if I can't then match a extensive rod line to my fishing need. Hello, I'm Joe Michaels, the owner of Fish Point, and this is our media channel. Welcome. I started fishing in Arizona in 1985, and in 1986 I joined the Arizona Bass Club. After a few years of learning, I started to win tournaments, and eventually I became the Angler of the Year. About the same time, I also started a tackle company called Conquistador Tackle that made wired worms, which were an improvement over the good old Westy worm that had been around for so many years. We also made jigs and finesse baits and hand-poured worms, things like that. And in 2002, I joined a local Pro-Am circuit, won some tournaments, became Angler of the Year. Now, about 8 years ago, I stopped fishing, and boy, have things changed since then. New boats, new motors, new electronics, trolling motors are new, right? New techniques, new baits, a lot of things have changed. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take all that new stuff to me, I'm going to apply it to my deep knowledge of Arizona bass fishing, and we're going to go do this together. We're going to go out on the water and we're going to catch fish here in Arizona. And remember, like everybody else, please hit the subscription button. Subscriptions are free, they don't cost anything, so that just helps you get notified when new videos are out. And we're going to make a bunch of videos, and that helps me get my channel up to other viewers. So I appreciate it. So remember, please hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, hit the like button, because there's nothing better for me, the producer of these shows, to know which kind of shows you guys really like. The company I've chosen to do this is St. Croix. And one of the reasons I chose to do that is because they've been around for 75 years. This is their anniversary year. But also, in a kind of esoteric kind of way, I grew up in Wisconsin as a boy and left there when I was 22 after I graduated from college. I've always been curious about St. Croix rods, so I started to investigate them. And sure enough, I found that they had recently introduced entirely new lines of rods that I found intriguing. It's interesting. Whole new lines of rods are being introduced. The first line that I noticed when I was doing the research was the Victory line. Very extensive line, about a $200 rod, $200, $250 price range for those rods. And I thought, okay, that's nice. What should I do? What's their expensive rod? What's their high end? Then I found the Legend Extreme, and they're $600 plus rods. I thought to myself, well, that's a little too much, okay? So I go to myself, well, why not? What's in the middle, okay? And then I found the Legend Tournament bass rods. I also noticed they just refreshed that whole line, and I found it to be amazing. They have 8 spinning rods, and I believe they have 19 casting rods. That's impressive. Plus, I saw some incredible innovation in that line of rods. First of all, they're using their SC4 carbon, which is light, and they're also adding some SC6 carbon, again, to make them strong and light. That's very interesting. Certain rods also have some glass. So some of their models, not only are the SC4 Plus, is what they call it, but they also have glass. And I thought, well, that's interesting for certain type of rod actions. So I wanted to investigate that. Plus, on some of their swim bait rods, they have these grip handles, and I found that to be incredibly intriguing. Like, wow, that's interesting, okay? Further in this video, I'm going to bring forth some of the marketing materials and some of the reasons why I wanted to give this line of rods a try. And then I'm going to review some of the rods, doing DMRVP reviews, okay? And then ultimately, I'm going to do a DMRVP review on the entire rod line. That'll be very interesting. So this will take time. It'll take months and months to get done, but I think you'll find it interesting. For now, let's just take a look at what I've learned about the Legend Tournament bass rods from the internet. The rod technologies include the SC4 Plus hybrid carbon fiber. What this means, well, SC, by the way, stands for St. Croix, and 4 is their 4th level of carbon. The plus stands for their 6th level. So this is a combination of rod that they combine the SC4 and SC6 together to make the rod lighter, more sensitive, and a better balance for these technique optimized models. It uses an integrated polycurve technology. Poly just stands for polynomial curve, and something you would use if you're using a CAD system to design things. So they're using CAD systems to design the rods. What I find amazing as a software guy is that they can then take those models and cut these long mandrels that are really tiny on the tips, if you will, and tapered with the curves all along the body of the mandrel to the base. To me, that's the impressive part, is the ability for machines to cut that, to make them smooth and perfect. It's fascinating. They also use art reinforcing technology, which they claim adds up to 10% strength with no increase in the blank. I believe what this means is they'll take some carbon and they'll wrap it in key areas to make it stronger. And finally, the FRS is the fortified resin. They take their super resins with a computer-operated curing, which means an oven, and they bake these rods, running them through a curing process at different temperatures. It helps make these rods stronger. Some rods use the IAC technology, which adds a layer of fiberglass to the carbon. This makes rods using that technology much more suitable for reaction-style fishing techniques, such as topwater, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and buzzbaits. All this technology adds up to a 15-year warranty from St. Croix for the owner and anybody who has the rod. So that's pretty impressive. They stand behind the rods for 15 years. That's amazing and incredible, frankly. So let's move on. So there you have the make and design and the properties of the rod, or at least the manufacturing process and all the materials that are in the rod, as far as I can understand. So you can tell that these rods are very well built, and with their 15-year warranty, St. Croix is standing behind them. By the time I made this video, I have already purchased a number of the rods. I started with the one that I'm going to review first, and I loved it. So I then decided, yeah, I think the Tournament Legend line and the St. Croix brand is going to suit me very well. So I bought a few other rods. I bought one on the far end of the scale, and I bought another rod on the other end of the scale. And then I bought a couple rods in the middle to use and try out. So I'm going to review all those. My hope is to review every rod in the Tournament Legend line, both in the spinning and the casting. It's a big deal, a lot of rods. I'm not sure I'll be able to get to them, but that's my goal, because there's some very interesting products in this line. And if you look at the rod layouts or the rod models, there's 3 rods that are cranking rods that are all the same length, and they just have different powers or different actions. There seems to be clusters, and how do you pick one? How are we going to pick one from the other? I'm going to try to figure that out, at least for myself, and hopefully you all will be able to make judgment based on your needs. Will the rods work for you? And the reason I'm doing this is because I did find some reviews of this line of rod, but they were very short, and they didn't go very in depth, and they didn't cover all the rods in the line. My mission here is to sort of contribute back to the internet, which is using my skills of assessment of these rods, the skills that I've learned, and the fishing experiences that I've had over the past, to actually go ahead and review these rods to the best of my ability. So far, I've been very impressed with the rod line. I'm going to review everything I have, and by the way, every rod may not truly be for me, and we're going to find that out, okay? Doesn't mean the rod's bad, it just means it might not be the best fit for me. So that's going to be kind of interesting. So please join me as I continue to review the St. Croix Legend Tournament rods, both both the casting and the spinning. I want to review them all, and I know that's a big order, but I'm up for that challenge. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It helps me, it'll help you. And hit the thumbs up if you like this video, because that way I know the kinds of videos that my audience is enjoying. So thank you and have a great day.